rename black people. This is important for black people to understand, so you don't get owned by the white man. Because if everything has a price, then he can literally buy you like a damn slave. Like, you might as well rename yourself Kunta Kinte, because he can literally buy you, right? If you're a woman that says, well, I'm not gonna sleep with you for $100, but I might do it for $500, right? Then somebody's gonna come along with $500 and take away something that money can't buy from you, right? So ultimately, what I would say to you is ask yourself, when you talk about business and economics, this is what separates you from the capitalist, right? I've never been an advocate for capitalism in its purest form, because capitalism in its purest form is it's very predatory, and it breeds slavery, and it's very exploitative, and it's almost extortionary in nature. I don't think you have to be a capitalist in order to do well, or in order to really appreciate the power of wealth. But one thing that will separate you from the capitalists, in my opinion, is I think you got to ask yourself, what do we have that just money can't buy? Like, what is it that we are going to create where it's not just a financial conversation? It's a conversation about things where it's like, there's no amount of money. Like, so I'll give you an example. Like, for example, actually, if you go to drboycefinance.com, you can advertise on this platform, right? So this is like real life. This is real shit. This is really what real conversations we have with our team. So, we reach 1 million black people a week on this podcast. And I'm very happy about that, because I know trying to be black and intelligent, I know that offends people, but fortunately there are enough of you who agree and understand why we need to be smarter, so we don't keep getting screwed over. And we have advertising you can actually purchase, where you can get a Dr. Boyce shout out. Well, somebody asked me one time, they said, well, how much can I pay to be a guest on your podcast? And I said, there's no amount you can pay, because I'm not going to sell guest spots on my podcast. You can't buy your way into this space. I need to vet you. I need to understand what you're doing. If I decide to have a guest, and I really don't bring that many guests in, and so no, I have to. That conversation is not a financial conversation. So some things should not be a financial conversation, and this is where capitalism is also a little bit of a sickness, a mental illness, because in America, everything becomes financial. Like, for example, healthcare. Healthcare should probably not be so much of a financial conversation. Like, whether or not somebody lives or dies and can get their medication that they might need to stay alive, it's not right to say, well, you don't have enough money, so you have to die. I just don't like that, right? And so ultimately, when it comes to the selling of Michael Jackson's catalog, I don't know if that fits in that category. I know Michael Jackson's special, and I really wish, I hope, I think that they still own some of the catalog, and I like the idea of some of that wealth being in the hands of black people. But then again, one of the things that's really interesting too about black celebrities is that a lot of that black celebrity wealth does not even trickle down to the black community anyway. As many rappers as you have that are claiming to be billionaires, I don't see them doing anything on any sort of significant level that's developing significant economic infrastructure that's going to impact hundreds of thousands of black people. Just the amount of money. I told you guys, I was very honest with you about some of the frustration I had with my conversations with Kanye West, because I really was like, sheesh, I understand you have this issue with Jewish people, and I'm not going to fight that too much, because you have a right to have your opinion. But I kind of really need you to understand that with that money that Adidas is paying you, $250 million a year, we could literally go out next year and build 10,000 schools for black people and pay 50,000 teachers to teach our own children, and literally make a generational game changer for black people. Like, literally in a year, we could literally flip everything on its head. And I kind of feel like, like, maybe as a celebrity, we should kind of think about that, so that we don't just get caught up in like ego, right? And just saying like, oh, well, because I am famous and important, what I want and what I feel is more important than what the community needs and what the community is struggling with. And again, but this is not me in any way being critical of that thought process. It was kind of like a point where I kind of realized, okay, we're not really built the same, because I would probably like be able to swallow my pride and not criticize Jewish people if it meant that I could get an extra $250 million a year for the black community. I had to be honest with you. I don't understand that calculus. I think those of you who kind of feel like that's some sort of noble, honorable choice, like because I'm so mad at Jewish people, I'm going to keep talking bad, even if it costs the black community $250 million. I would just say to you that I don't agree with you.